We are live.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the day after the Maple Leafs lost to the Montreal Canadiens in the first game of the playoffs. First time the Leafs and Habs have played all those years. No fans can be there, not yet anyway. Kind of the aftermath, the John Tavares thing. So we're going to talk about that, of course, on the show today, but some other things too. We're going to welcome a new sponsor. We're going to talk about how the Jays blew it against Boston and how, they're in fourth place now, by the way, Mike.
Is that possible?
Yeah, no, it's possible. They're in fourth. The Jays are in fourth place. Wow. Get into some golf stuff. We should see what's going on now. Crazy out there. Some tennis, Raptors. What's going to happen with this team? Like all these playoff teams with the play-in and everything, and the Raptors still couldn't get in. So what's going to happen with Masai, and what's this team going to look like, I wonder? Get into all that stuff. And the Jays radio, terrible, absolutely horrible. This guy from Sportsnet who came out saying, "Oh, we're really happy with the radio broadcast." Bullshit. It's terrible. Worse than it ever has been before. If I said to you, if you heard this, there's a little looper to right, are you thinking, hey, that's going to fall in for a base hit? You can see it, right? You can imagine in your mind the ball going over the second baseman's head, and it's going to fall in, and 2 runs are going to score because this happened with the bases loaded. No, instead there's a little looper and caught by the right fielder. And then you realize when you see the highlights later that it was a fly ball to right. It was a can of corn. It doesn't work on radio, man. He's doing a TV broadcast. It's a looper. It's a fly. The guy on radio or the girl on radio for sure is saying, there's one just over the infield. It's a or no, there's a fly to right. Now it's going to hang up there and it's caught by the right fielder. But not, it's a little looper. I'm thinking, I'm hearing Tom Cheek or Jerry Howard's voice go, that's a base hit. That's falling in. I can see. Anyway, get into all that stuff. The new hip record, which, by the way, Toronto Mike over here, he had it. He knew all about it. He knew it a long time ago. He just didn't know it.
I didn't know it, but you dropped so many big hints, and I think
I know, Mike. What can I do?
And that was on.
I was sworn to secrecy.
Your special appearance on the Girl Jams episode of Pandemic Friday. By the way, don't forget to tweet that link before we go live.
Okay, so wait, you already sent it out?
Yeah, tagged you on it. On the Twitter machine, as they say. Yeah, Saskadelphia. So that was a fun fact I just wanted to bring up because I was kicking out Cordelia. So I just wanted to bring up the fun fact that Saskadelphia was the original name of road apples. And I just brought it up. You happened to be there because you were the special guest because you kicked out the Allman Brothers, Melissa. So Hebsy's
was that
there.
when it was? I couldn't remember when it was or
was,
how it came up in conversation.
So I brought it up organically. I just brought up, Saskadelphia was the original name of road apples. And you're sitting there on the Zoom and you're like, okay, and you're sitting on this big fucking news bomb, and I know you want to tell us, but you probably promised Jake you wouldn't tell us. So you just sort of like danced around it and said, something's coming. And then when it came, we're like, Hebsy was trying to tell us without telling us, like you were.
Again, when you're sworn to secrecy, when you're part of a inner circle, like I heard 3 cuts from the album. Nice. And I had heard a 4th one before because they had played it live, Montreal. So I already had an idea, but when I heard it, we'll get into this later. I'm going, oh my God, this is like listening to Road Apples. Like this song should have been between, Twist My Arm and Cordelia, or.
Well, of course,
it should have been.
As you know, Road Apples, it was supposed to be a double album. Like that was the plan. Right. And so the result, and I mean, I don't know if you want to put this on the episode or talk now, but I guess these tracks were lost. Like, were they lost or were they just?
Well, they had been told that they were part of that terrible fire at Columbia in Los Angeles, where some of the great music ever made is lost forever. And the Hip thought that their tapes were there, but they weren't. They had been shipped back to Canada and were in a box, and they had writing, like some of the stuff had the writing of the engineer at the time, Mark Vreeken, or I'm trying to think who the other one was, Howard. Anyway, so they would, it would have it would say poet on it, just like written poet,
right?
Poet. Was that Gord? Was that a song? Poets? Was like, what the hell was it? And so they had to bake the tapes, and Johnny Faye listened to all of them And they went through all of them and went, oh my, that one. I thought I haven't heard that in 30 years. Anyway, the result is spectacular. We'll get into it later
Okay.
on.
Okay.
Do you want to start?
Let's do this. So
the podcast?
Hebsy man, I am recording in 5, 4, 3.
The following podcast is, I'm going to do it. Take 2. The following podcast is brought to you by Crosswinds Golf and Country Club in Burlington. We're so excited that golf is back. We're tripping all over our tongues. As you know, golf courses in the province of Ontario, where I live, where Mike lives, will be opening tomorrow, Saturday, after a long lockdown. Woohoo! That means you're going to want to experience the splendor and natural beauty of Crosswinds. You better go to crosswindsgolf.com right now and book your tee time. Nestled between Rattlesnake Point and Mount Nemo on the Niagara Escarpment, Crosswinds offers million-dollar views, fabulous golf, the nicest people, excellent customer service, and much more. Crosswinds is ready to welcome you with open arms, but with all the proper protocols in place. Go to crosswindsgolf.com, see what they have to offer, look at the gorgeous pictures, and dream that you'll be playing very, very shortly this outstanding golf course. I can't wait to go myself, playing next week. Hope to see you at Crosswinds soon. Make sure you tell them Hebsy sent you. Crosswindsgolf.com. Now, Mike, let's start the podcast. Live from Toronto, it's Hebsy on Sports, episode number 233. We're live and we're interactive on YouTube. If you have questions or you have comments, bring them on. I know you want to talk sports. This should be a talk. It should be a phone-in show. This really should be a phone-in show, but it's not. You're going to have to settle for podcast/vodcast/live, whatever the hell they call it. Mike, what do they call it?
Video production.
Thank you. That's TMDS. That's the Toronto Mike Digital Services that powers this show. Toronto Mike is at the home studio at the mothership in New Toronto. I'm in Little Italy, and we have plenty to talk about on today's show. The Maple Leafs out-hustled, and ultimately outscored in their playoff opener versus Montreal after losing captain John Tavares in what I can only describe as the most sickening moment, or one of the most sickening moments. Gosh, Kevin Pillar got hit in the face this week. That was sickening. I remember when Dave Dravecki broke his arm on the mound pitching. That was sickening. Joe Theismann's ankle was sickening. John Tavares. Oh. So we're going to delve deeper into that game, plus the rest of the Stanley Cup playoff action, if you really care, or if you're just into Montreal, Toronto. And I understand that. I understand that you don't have a stake, skin in the game when it comes to Winnipeg, Edmonton, or Vegas and Minnesota. I get it. Leafs, Habs, we'll get into that. Blue Jays blew it in the 9th inning last night. Oh, they came back. They came back from the dead. They took the lead and they lost in the 9th. A heartbreaker. A heartbreaker. And the pitching continues to be shaky. Last night it was the relief, but also the starters. You can't be giving up 5 runs in the first or second inning and expect to beat a team like the Red Sox. And the Jays are now in 4th place. You heard me, 4th place. Meanwhile, the games have become even more unlistenable to on the radio. Just awful as we try to navigate the simulcast from TV. And when I hear, there's a little looper, duck snort, Texas leaguer, bloop hit, no, can of corn, fly ball to the right fielder. I need a radio guy, a radio gal to tell me, describe to me what's going on. They're only talking to those of us who can't see. I can't listen to this anymore. And when the TV exec goes, oh, we think things are going really well on the radio. Really? Have you been listening?
Right.
We got your basketball story as well. Playoff matchups, the latest on the Raptors and their quest to keep President Masai Ujiri and to keep hope for the fans that will eventually see this team play in person and be able, have some kind of a connection with the Tampa Gypsies Raptors. Were a tough year.
Yes.
A Canadian was atop the leaderboard at the PGA Championship. But what time is it? It's 9:24 in the morning? Not anymore. Shot himself out of the tournament already. Why? Because his beloved Leafs lost last night. He couldn't fucking sleep. Okay? And he went out bogey, birdie, bogey, 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 bogey.
Wow.
He just made another birdie. I can't even be watching. He's in it. He's out of it. He had a 2-shot lead. He was 3 strokes behind. The PGA Championship at Kiowa Island. We'll get into that. A new tragically hip record is out.
Wow.
Speaking of Canadiana and the restrictions being lifted, what a fabulous day. What an up and down day and weekend it's going to be. It's going to be great.
It's going to be amazing.
And Mike, what did you do once in your life? Once. And while you were doing it, or after you did it, or you said, I'll never do that again, ever in my life.
That's a great question. Wow.
I responded to that question the other day. Caught a bit of flack for it. I'll tell you that story if you want.
Yeah, I know this story. I got questions.
Yeah, go ahead. Toronto Mike in the Toronto Mike studios. By the way, do we have an ETA for our backyard, next backyard studio?
Dude, I would be doing it right now if you were game to come.
I was game today.
Oh my god! I'm
ready to ride the bike.
Hebsy,
you know why I'm ready to ride the bike?
Because it's like summertime out there.
No, Matt, because we got a new sponsor, and they make me want. It's easier for me to ride my bike. It's easier for you to ride your bike.
Okay,
it's easier for us guys.
Explain. Tell me more detail.
You know, you got a package in the mail. So did I. Manscaped sent us their new grooming trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. Oh man. So I got one. Mike got one.
Have you given it a go? Have you used it yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Because you and I never discussed this before. Not on the air, not off the air. We're good friends, but good friends when we talk about certain things.
Right.
For many years, I've been grooming my nether region, south of the border.
Right.
As we like to say in Toronto, south of Bloor. Where are you going? I went south of Bloor.
Right.
What? Wow. What'd you do down there? Never mind. Anyway, I'm very sensitive. And this particular device, the Lawnmower 4.0, prevents chafing, of which is a big problem, as you know. If you're there, you got it there.
Yeah, I got it.
Lawnmower 4.0.
Yeah.
So and you're on the bike for 30K, 40K, right? There's chafing. There's hairs get in places that you don't want them to be. It hurts, especially when you pull out. Jeez. And I used to use a particular product, Mike, that occasionally would nick the family jewels. And quite frankly, I stopped using it for a while. So when the opportunity came about to test drive the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, I told the folks at Manscaped, send me one. Send Mike one. We'll check them out. Yeah. And I'm happy to say, Mike, it was the smoothest ride I've ever been on.
So how far down do you take it?
As much as you want. There's like 4 different.
No, but because I know that in December when I got my vasectomy, they said take it down to the wood, right? I wish I had. Well,
you will now. You haven't tried it yet?
No, I haven't given it my first. So no, I just got it yesterday. So
okay, I got mine. Yeah, I got mine.
This is fine. So this week,
I immediately, because I had just gone for a bike ride.
Right.
I was like, oh man, what a difference.
Okay,
so I'm not going to keep you too long with this. It's a new sponsor, all right? And we got sports to get to, and I understand that. But I have to tell you that my balls have been thanking me since yesterday. And going for the bike ride, working out, running, walking, playing pickleball, whatever it is, my balls are thanking me. And I suggest to you that if you want to feel as good as I feel, and you don't want to be uncomfortable down there, especially with the hot summer coming, the Lawnmower 4.0. And did I mention the fact that if you use the promo code Hebsy upon checkout, 20% off and worldwide shipping, free worldwide shipping.
Okay, where do they go? This is huge. Okay, because we want all the fanatics, all the Hebsy on sports fans. If you want to support the show and you want to feel good down there, then this is like the best way to do it right now. Obviously, you golf at Crosswinds, and then you go to what website? Like Manscaped. Where do you go? Manscaped.com?
Yeah, Manscaped.com.
Okay, and the promo code is Hebsy, Hebsy. And so Hebsy's given the Lawnmower 4.0 his first run there, and it was a smooth sailing. He's a happy man. I'm going to give it a go this weekend, and I'll report back next week. But anybody who wants to buy it, maybe you want to buy it for your partner, your lover. Maybe you want to buy it for yourself. Father's Day's coming. Yeah. Buy your dad the Lawnmower 4.0 from Manscaped, and manscaped.com is where you go. Hebsy, promo code. Use it. That's awesome.
And I'm sitting now, and I'm just feeling better than I would have normally been feeling.
Okay.
This is someone who, I groom below the waist, south of Bloor.
See, I'm learning a lot about Hebsy today. I had no idea.
Yeah. And do me a favor. Let me wet my whistle a bit. This is how, this is how we stay afloat. This is how the podcast stays afloat. Because Mike knows it costs money to put the podcast on.
So even just to support the show and keep it going, buy a couple. Great. Like you got to buy one for your
and a great product too. Manscaped.com, 20% off, promo code Hebsy. All right, one thing I've learned.
Yeah.
Watching sports, reporting on sports, commentating on sports, commenting on sport, commentating and commenting.
Either
Same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, either or.
Okay. One thing I've learned, if I've learned nothing else, is a team in hockey or soccer, but hockey especially, with a great goalie is never out of a game, never out of a series. Never. And when a team knows that one of the best in the world is tending the twine, said team tends to up their game. Case in point, the Montreal Canadiens, le tricolore, contre les Maple Leafs de Toronto. Hey, Carey, big save Price.
Yes.
This guy made the difference in the game, okay? Highly entertaining hockey game, powerfully emotional hockey game. As the Habs beat the Leafs 2-1 on a shorthanded goal by Paul Byron. Was that something?
Oh, yeah.
Right after Mitch Marner was robbed by the aforementioned Carey Price on a glorious chance for the Leafs to take the lead. The game was marred, unfortunately, by a freak injury to John Tavares, who was body checked to the ice, and as he fell, was hit in the head by a truck named Corey Perry. I mean, the collision was it was a sickening thud, and I really don't want to talk too much about it. Mike, you saw it too.
Oh, of course.
I'm pretty sure we all felt the exact same way. The first thing we thought of was, oh my God, is he dead?
Right.
And not without any thought whatsoever to the end result of game one of the playoffs or anything to do with anything else.
And it's really eerie when there's like zero noise in that arena, and then Chris Cuthbert he shuts up, and then all you have is sort of that eerie silence, and everybody, and it's just what a moment to start that series. It just kind of takes the wind out of the sails, and you're like, well, there goes that. It just seemed to kind of fuck with game one.
Yeah. And a couple days earlier, I remember being sick and seeing Kevin Pillar of the Mets take a fastball right in the face.
Right.
And then leave the field in his own power. And then the next day he's bringing out the lineup card going, man, this isn't what you sign up for, but these are the hazards of the sport that you're playing.
Sure. It's an occupational hazard.
Joe Theismann, that injury, people, someone says to you, Joe Theismann, the first thing you think of is Lawrence Taylor, almost, oh God, it was horrible. And these are those sort of moments. And I don't want years from now someone to say, hey, John Tavares, oh yeah, I remember him. Wow, that was because they kept showing the replay too, which I just didn't like. And I said, they're not going to do this between periods, are they? They're going to update us on Tavares' condition, which, by the way, now we have no update as of this time, except he was conscious last night and nothing else has been
some
reviewed.
Tests. We don't know what tests, but some tests came back clear.
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But nothing's been released at this particular point. And we can only hope for the best.
But they had to show it, right, Hebsy? Because I think the big question on everyone's mind was, could Corey Perry have prevented that? In any way, is that on Corey Perry? Did he do anything intentional there?
Well, obviously, Nick Foligno thought so, and the Maple Leafs thought so.
Right.
That he could have avoided that. But I think, in that moment, it's like, would you have tried to jump him? Could you have gone sideways? Could you have gone laterally if you were going in a particular? And remember, too, Tavares is tumbling sort of into you.
Right.
It's not like he had tumbled and was in the exact same spot for any length of time. He hit the ice, and as he was falling backwards and may or may not have hit his head or coming back from it, there's like getting hit by a car. That's what I equated it to. It's like you got hit by a car.
Right.
Man.
Now, okay. So I saw the replay a bunch of times. I don't think Corey Perry did anything intentional there. I don't think he could have done it. But clearly, the Leafs thought otherwise. Otherwise, what was the point of the whole Nick Foligno Corey Perry fight that followed it? Explain. Is that just simply the Leafs saying we think Corey is at fault here? What's the point of that?
I think Nick Foligno decided to take. I think on the bench was hey, the first hit on Tavares was a clean hit. Right, but it was still an open ice hit, and Tavares hit the ice pretty hard. As soon as that happened, I said, geez, the Leafs are just getting throttled.
Right.
Because up until that point, they were getting bounced pretty good. Montreal was on them. They were faster. They were tougher. They were winning battles. That's what I thought. Anyway, that's what I felt at that time. The Leafs were scrambling around. Nobody was looked really confident out there. Geez, Jack Campbell, the first time he touched the puck, almost slipped and fell.
Yes, he did.
No, I mean, they started off, but Montreal really full credit on. And then as soon as the hit happened to Tavares, before Perry hit him, in that moment I went, oh my God, the Leafs are just getting throttled. And then this happens.
Right.
And then Nick Foligno obviously is like, all right, listen, man, I think you could have fucking avoided him. Said, fuck you. What are you fucking talking about? I feel terrible. What are you, nuts? And this was a turning point in the game in more than one way. One was, how does a team respond? I mean, they kept showing Austin Matthews. They kept cutting back to Austin Matthews while Tavares was lying there. There's another shot of Austin Matthews. There's another shot of Austin Matthews.
Right.
What must he be going through? Oh, come on. I thought that was unnecessary. Of course he's going to feel. Is that a tear in his eye there? Is he thinking about winning the game? Oh, the Leafs can't win now. Look what's happened to their captain. Yeah, all right. It's not the first time this has happened in sports.
Right.
But Foligno did not need to engage Corey Perry, and I thought it was dumb, and it had the absolute wrong effect on the Leafs. Montreal took the lead. Montreal was empowered, emboldened. And one thing I noticed is how much more prepared Montreal seemed to be than the Maple Leafs. And when I saw Austin Matthews in the first period, I believe, Mike, there was an issue behind the net where Zach Hyman got into it and they tried to rough up Austin Matthews. And Matthews kind of turned around, and instead of fighting with the guy, that was what Hyman was doing, he had this smile, this smirk on his face. Do you remember what I'm talking about? They showed the replay. He wouldn't engage with the Montreal player, wouldn't give him the satisfaction. And he sort of had this smirk. Yeah, we'll get you. And I know Carey Price saw that, and I know the Habs saw that and said, look at that prick. And I'm not saying Austin Matthews is a prick. I think Montreal's response, look at it. Confident son of a bitch. Won the Rocket Richard Trophy, named, by the way, after a Montreal Canadian. Don't think that had something to do with it. Don't think they didn't have some bulletin board material after the first period saying, did you see the look on that guy's face? You see that smirk on his face there when we roughed him up? Well, who had the last laugh there? And I'm not saying it was his fault or anyone's fault. I think the Leafs might have taken the Habs too lightly. And I tell you what, Mike, I didn't think the Habs were that fast. I didn't think the Habs were that tough. And I didn't think the Habs were that big. They played big, and the Leafs played small. And Carey Price, you don't want to be in a tight game trying to beat Carey Price in the third period. He gets better and better. He looked so comfortable. He saw every shot towards, any shot from the outside. Matthews trying the one-timers. And then the Leafs started thinking too much. Oh, gosh, that's Carey Price. Marner on one occasion. Oh, Marner should have sniped. He always does. He's looking for the pass. But in his mind, he's going, that's fucking Carey Price.
Right.
The guy's played 38 playoff games or whatever. He's an amazing player. Shit, what do I do? Carey Price is now in their head. Can't have that. Couldn't beat him. And then Byron scores that gorgeous shorty on Jack Campbell because 57-year-old Joe Thornton, or at least that's how old he seemed to be.
Right.
In a key time on a power play that went like 0 for 38 this year, and it's like 0 for they look terrible looking playoff. Such a bad power play that the Leafs should decline any penalty from now on because they gave up the shorty because they got Thornton out there. He's tired. He's more tired than normal because he had to take Tavares' shift when Tavares went down. He's bagged. He's 40-something years old.
Yes.
And Spezza looked 100 years old, and Wayne Simmons looked 100 years old. Replace these guys. Get Galchenyuk in there.
Right. Get
Engvald, who can skate. Get those guys in there because those old guys looked really bad. And Morgan Riley, I don't know what's happened to his game, but he didn't look confident. Anyway, the Leafs didn't look confident. They have to bounce back.
Yeah, no doubt. But I got, the vibes I got was the Raptors versus Magic game 1 of the 2019 playoff run. It just had I had that sense the whole time. I actually was willing to, we'll cough up game 1. I actually haven't lost any confidence in this series. I think the Leafs win the series. But that goal by Paul Byron, like, come on. Like, that's like, come on. Like, I watched that replay 100 times. I still can't believe it. Do you think Jack Campbell do you think his poke check was too late, or what do you think it's just one of those goals.
That was one of those bang plays.
Yeah.
Like, do I go out or don't I go out?
Right.
And
You
don't
got
know
caught
if he's tumbling
midway
or not. It's
right.
one of those weird things. But full value to Montreal. They did deserve to win the game.
Yes,
they did outplay them, and their goaltending was better than the Leafs when it counted.
Yeah, without that one big save you mentioned before the Paul Byron goal. What a save! But overall, I think we really made it easy on Price. Like he could see everything. Like I kept saying like put some traffic in front of this guy. Like all these shots from like he's gonna if he can see it, he's gonna stop it. Like we it's just we
once
made it
you try
good.
to change your game because of the other team's goalie, you're fucked. Once in your head, it's like, oh, Price is good at the deke, and you just gotta play your game. And in this particular case, the Leafs have to adjust their game to what Montreal's throwing at them. And remember, Montreal benched the kids.
Yep.
Those guys can go too.
I know.
So Montreal's the speed team. It's like the Flying Frenchmen, except they're not all Frenchmen. These guys can go. Are you kidding me? I'm watching, first of all, Josh Anderson's got it next to Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Got to be the fastest player in the league. He's got like Mike Gartner type speed. Like, man, he's on you in no time at all. Armia, guy can skate. Suzuki, Toffoli, Deneau, these guys can go. The Leafs looked like they were skating in freaking wet cement, weren't they?
Yeah, that whole game. I mean, because it started with the Tavares injury, and then it just felt all weird. I mean, really, like, I hope nobody's panicking. I hope there's no panic button.
No, it's not panic. It's look, a good team adjusts. Sure. A good team says, all right, they beat us. They played great. They outplayed us. They out goaltended us. Here's what we have to do. We have to adjust. We're a better team. We proved it this year. Everybody's got to up their game.
And you heard
everyone's got up. Tavares is out. Everyone's got to up their game. Look, I'm going to tell you this right now. In 1978, the Leafs played the Islanders. It was a knock them down, drag them out series. It was a physical series. They beat the crap. They literally beat each other up. This is when Roy McMurtry, the Attorney General, was like laying charges left, right, and center against hockey players. They were thuggery. And the Leafs lost Boreas Salming in Game 4 of the series. He took a stick to the eye from Lauren Henning, and there was fights. Oh man, it was wicked. Anyway, broke his orbital bone and broke his like nasal bone, stitches in the head, and he was out for the series. And Leaf fans were like, "Oh my god!" And you have no idea, folks, unless you saw Boreas Salming in his prime play. And just prior to this is 1978. Mm-hmm. He had pretty much been injury free. And he was a spectacular defenseman, a spectacular rushing defenseman, the likes of which there isn't one in the NHL now. As good as Denny Potvin, Brad Park, Larry Robinson, Guy Lapointe. I mean, Serge Savard, he was a fantastic defenseman until this injury occurred. Leaf fans were like, there's no way we can beat the Islanders. We lost Salming. They beat the Islanders. Overtime, Game 7, Landy McDonald.
Right.
So, even if Tavares is out for the series, God forbid, let's hope he's okay. This is where you need depth. This is where you got to reach down.
And we have depth.
So let's just see. All right.
Here's something.
Night.
Yeah.
What a weekend it's going to be, Mike. What a weekend. Saturday night Leafs, Monday night, Victoria Day.
Right.
But not a holiday in Quebec, I don't think. If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was a national holiday.
No, I think they got their own Jean-Baptiste.
Jean-Baptiste Day, yeah, right.
Right?
So, do you know, I know this is one of those stats you don't care at all about, but 9 losses in a row in the playoffs, Toronto versus Montreal, 9 in a row. So
I never believed the ancient history because none of these players had anything to do with it.
They weren't born.
Only the fans that remember it.
Oh, yeah,
like me, like 1978.
Right. It's true. They weren't born.
You pull out the playoff memories that you pull out the Doug Gilmour scoring in double OT against St. Louis, 93. You pull out the Landy McDonald, Game 7, overtime, the team that wasn't expected to win. This team's expected to win.
Right. Nikolai Borchevsky. That's what you pull out there. Hey,
and many times.
I was going to do this
many times in this franchise's history.
Sure.
That had nothing to do with this current team. Shit happened that people remember. Okay. By the way, shout out to Nazem Kadri.
Oh, yeah. Showing that we were right.
What's he thinking?
Hey.
All right. Elsewhere, NHL, Stanley Cup playoffs. Ryan Lomberg. Don't have him in my pool. Scored at 5:58 of overtime to give the Panthers a 6-5 win over Tampa Bay in Game 3 of their first-round series at Amalie Arena. The visiting team has won all 3 games in the series. Panthers trailed 5-3 entering the third. They were going to go down. They're going to go 3-11 in the series. Mm-hmm. But they fought back, tied it late in regulation, and won it in overtime. Game 4 tomorrow in Tampa. Lightning lead the series 2-1. The Battle of the Sunshine State.
Right.
Florida. Brandon Tanev broke a tie with 3:36 remaining in the third. Pittsburgh Penguins over the Islanders 5-4 in Game 3 to take a 2-1 series at the Nassau County Coliseum on Long Island. It's not Long Island. It's Long Island.
Is a hard G? Is that
Long Island. Tanev gave Pittsburgh the lead when he swatted the puck out of the air past Islanders goaltender Semyon Varlamov. That was after Cal Clutterbuck had tied the game 4-4 at 14:17 of the third in what can only be known as a seesaw contest.
right?
Game 4 tomorrow afternoon on
Long Island. You're better at that than I am. Hey, because Crosby's had such a tremendous career and he's nearing the end there. I want to see him. I want to see him win another. If the Leafs can't do it, I hope Crosby wins another one. Just throwing it.
Not me.
No,
they've done enough. Islanders. I like the Islanders.
I don't like that.
They deserve it. Islander fans deserve it. I got friends that are Islander fans. They deserve it. They do.
Shout out to John Tonelli. And okay. Sorry. Continue the NHL. Then I just want to say hello to some people on YouTube.
Vegas Golden Knights, 5 straight goals in a 5-2 win over the Minnesota Wild in Game 3 at the XL Energy Center. Mark Stone scoring twice for Vegas. Vegas has got a good team, man. Yeah. They're good, and they got good goaltending too. Right? Fleury, he's awesome, man.
Yes.
2-1 series lead for Vegas. Game 4 tomorrow in Mini. Other series resumes tonight. Washington hosting Boston with the Bruins up 2-1. That's been a good series, eh? Like whoever loses out there, they're two good teams. Carolina is in Nashville up 2-0 on that series. In that series over the Nashville Predators. Winnipeg has a 1-0 series lead on the Oilers tonight in Edmonton. Colorado's in St. Louis up 2-0 on the Blues. By the way, if Cuthbert and Simpson are doing Leafs Habs and Hammerhan Singh and Louis DeBrusque are doing the Edmonton-Winnipeg series, what's Jim Hughson doing?
Oh, yeah.
Is he out at Hockey Night in Canada? Is that it for him? Is he retired?
Well, no, I think he this season he wasn't going to leave his home in Vancouver. So I guess when the Canucks went out, did he go out too? Do you think?
Interesting, huh?
Yeah, that's a unique. I think that's a COVID thing, though. I don't think that's. But time will tell.
You know more than me.
I think it's a COVID thing. But I think he's still. I don't know about him and Cuthbert, who gets the finals in a normal season. I guess we'll find out next year. But
by the way, do you think Rogers is going to make all their money back because of the ratings for this Leafs Montreal series? Like, would they not like it to go 7 games?
Right.
And just the revenue, the ad revenue alone.
This is a great question. I think
Saturday night, Mike. Saturday. And then Monday, holiday Monday. Again, I mean, big viewership, massive viewership. The streaming numbers from the cottage are going to be out of sight. People on the golf courses.
The great,
dark by then.
The great fear, I think, in the Rogers boardrooms is what if the Leafs go out in the first round again? Like, I think that's
Montreal. But they've got Montreal.
I don't think it's the same thing in the. I don't.
I don't know.
I don't think it's.
You know what? I would watch. I mean, if the Leafs got eliminated and Montreal was, I would for sure watch Montreal.
At least they're guaranteed Canadian teams through 3 rounds, like 3 rounds
honestly,
of Canadian
to
teams.
Say that the ratings wouldn't be as big. I mean, I don't know to what extent, but you're telling me that if the Leafs are out, then the rest of the country wouldn't watch. I think a lot of people would watch the Montreal Canadiens.
I think a lot of Toronto tunes out when the Leafs are eliminated. I think Toronto is a big chunk of this country.
Maybe of Montreal, especially if they just beat you.
I think that's when you want to see him least. Okay, so let me just.
Want to say? What did you want to say?
I want to say hi to some people. So bright and early. So Mike Kerr says good morning. So hello to Mike, and then Moose Grumpy jumps in. Good morning, Laura Connor. Good morning from Laura. Dale Cadeau.
We got to find out from Laura. Was she offended by the Manscaped?
Well, let me see. I haven't actually looked at these comments in a while. Yeah, but I think this is the real talk that people expect from us. Right. Like, we have balls and we need to groom them. So this is something that helps grooming them.
Need to groom.
We have balls. Okay.
You got it right there.
Dale Cadeau. Shout out.
He's got the, for those listening on the podcast only, he's got the Manscaped lawnmower box there. He hasn't even used it. He hasn't opened it yet. Did you get the underwear and the t-shirt too?
Yes. By the way, I wore the underwear. Very comfortable.
Really comfortable.
Yeah. I don't know what that, I just want a bunch of that.
We're not supposed to be
now.
Plugging that just yet though.
Okay.
They'll find out about that. That was supposed to be a secret.
I enjoyed my,
you got the Crosswinds hat on too. So you're doing a hell of a job.
So Dale Cadeau's in Vancouver or in BC at least. And he's bright and early to watch us live. He says, good morning. And
Gene Velitis is he tweeted last night. He can hardly wait to get up at 6:20 in the morning to watch and listen.
So I'm just catching up because I haven't looked over here in a while. But Gary Faber, Andrew Jeeves. I want to say hello to Brian Gerstein. I want to say Jim Boko. I hope I said that right.
I say
Gordon.
Hi to Jim. I say hi. I see Brian. I see. It's Romper Room. Remember, they never said Mark on Romper Room. I'm sure they said Michael all the time.
I'm sure they said
never.
Mark because
No.
how many Marks were born in the 60s? And
No, never. Mark
No?
was not a comic.
Dr. Hockey, who says he felt sick that whole night because of the Tavares thing. I think a lot of people felt that way. And KM, of course, and then Eugene Velitis is here. He's checked in as well. So hello to everybody who's joined us on the YouTube page. And if you're listening on the podcast and you're around at 9:20 a.m. on a Friday, 9:20 Eastern, go to Hebsy's YouTube page and follow it, and then get notified when we go live. So live from Toronto with Hebsy. It's just yeah, they're noticing flashback to the magic mirror as we do our Romper Room thing. So, all right, back to you, Mr. Hebshire.
I had 3 screens going last night. Naturally, the Leaf game was number 1, but also I had my eye on the Jays, and I was watching some basketball as well, some women's curling.
So, Hebsy, man, this is that time of year.
Championships.
Pickleball. That's
YouTube. Anyway.
But this is that time of year where, because I'm a cheapskate who only gets that first tier of Sportsnet, all the Jays games get bumped to the other one because they put hockey on the first tier. So this is the time of year where I actually don't see any Jays games. So that's
okay. Listen,
yeah,
I'm going to, as a gift to you, an early Christmas gift, I'm going to pay so you can get Sportsnet 1 and TSN 2 because you need to have it if you're going to be the co-host of this show.
Right, it's Mike, a business expense.
I can't. How do I explain to people saying, what's with Mike? He's having his he's having an issue.
I don't want to come across like a cheapskate. It's more of a decision I made to kind of like just put it all in check because I have to spend time with the kids and stuff as well. But I did watch the entire Leaf game, of course, and disappointing finish, but I feel good about the series.
Right. So you didn't watch the Jays game?
No, I didn't see any of it. So I'm interested to hear you talk about it right now.
Okay.
Actually.
First of all, I've been saying all along, okay, if they think that they've got good starting pitching, they're wrong. If they think they're going to contend with the starting pitching they have, they're wrong. And 2 guys I had pointed out that were nice, quote unquote, pleasant surprises, Ross Stripling and Steven Matz, have kind of come down to earth. You can't throw a starting pitcher in there and hope like hell he doesn't give up 5 runs in the first or 5 runs in the second. A run or 2, okay, because we've got some offense. But you can't keep asking Vladdy and Bo and Simeon and Teoscar and these guys who are hitting the snot out of the ball. You can't keep asking them to get 9 runs for you every night because the other team's got 5 in the second and 2. You can't do it. So last night, after giving up 5 runs in the second inning,
right?
Okay, the Jays fought back and eventually in the 9th choked and gagged, lost to the Boston Red Sox by a score of 8-7. They lost because Steven Matz, just like Stripling, implodes for 1 inning and then settles down and pitches like a star. But by then he's thrown close to 100 pitches in the 5th, 6th inning. Now you got to call on your bullpen again and again and again, and eventually it's going to hit you. Last night, Rafael Delis comes in. He's got a 2-run lead in the 9th, gives up a bloop, gives up another hit, a walk, a double, a home run to J.D. Martinez. Bing, the game's over. We lose 8-7.
Can I ask?
Matz was in line for the win. Like Matz gave up 5 runs,
and
then he settled down, and the Jays fought back, and eventually tied the game in the 5th, took the lead in the 6th. And we're going, hey, this is great.
Was there technical issues with the broadcast?
There was.
Okay, what was
Buck Martinez was watching a feed 1 second ahead of 1.5 seconds ahead of the feed that we were watching. So as we see the pitch crossing the plate, we hear click. Oh, there's a drive.
Right.
Before we actually see it happening. We hear Buck we hear the crack of the bat and we hear Buck go, or something like that.
That's annoying.
And it hasn't happened yet. And that sick feeling, and then you see the ball and confirming your worst fears that it's flying over the fence. Now, eventually they fixed it. And at what point? Some point during the game they did. But for a while there, Twitter was like, are we watching the feed? Is it me or is everybody else? And everyone was like, yep. Yeah. That was strange. It happens a lot.
Interesting. Yeah, of course because that's like that old thing when you stick on the radio. We'll get to this, but when you have a proper radio feed and you want to hear that, but see the visuals on the TV and they're not in sync, it ruins the whole thing. Back in the day, they were always in sync. But then when the digital cable showed up, now you've got a whole delay on the digital cable and the radio is always ahead of the game. But interesting. Fascinating.
You know, it's funny. Tom Cheek told me that the nicest compliments he used to get were from people who said, you know, Tom, when the game's on TV, because the games weren't always on television. Right. Most Jays fans were used to listening to Tom and Jerry, or Tom and Early in the early days, 6 out of 7 days out of the week. If you follow the Jays, you could listen to the broadcast 6 days. And on the 7th day, there was a television. It was on CBC or it was on CTV later.
Right.
And not that there was anything wrong with the broadcasters on television. Don Chevrier did a fine job. And
Tony
Oliver did a fine job. And Rod Black did games. But what happened was the real fans loved turning down the sound on the TV and turning the radio up because they were comfortable hearing Tom and Jerry. And Tom always told me, he said the nicest compliment he got was that someone would take the time watching the game to turn down the sound and still listen to Tom's description and Jerry's description of it.
Right.
And I think that's a key thing.
Right.
We'll get into that in a second, like you said. But let's talk about Charlie Montoyo and his handling of the bullpen. When the Jays lose a game like that, naturally, I question the manager, the logic of the manager. It goes back to the night before when Stripling was in trouble. I think the Jays were down by 5 or 6 runs. And he was at like 73 pitches. And they took him out in the 4th inning. They were losing. I'm thinking, well, like, why? Why not just, he's settling down a bit. In fact, he'd settled down a lot. Why not just leave him in there and say, okay, Ross, you got 95 pitches. You got 100 pitches. We saved the bullpen for an inning or two. But instead, they brought in Trent Thornton, who pitched 2 innings, which means he wasn't available last night. They might have been able to use him. I don't know. And then it forced him to use pitchers that he, again, could have used tonight, chasing a game that they probably weren't going to win. They might have. I think they got it to within 6-3 the other night against Boston, but you know they didn't have as great a chance. And so I didn't like that handling because he wasn't looking ahead to the next game of the series. He wasn't looking to the fact that maybe Steven Matz might run into trouble and he might need some arms in the bullpen. So I didn't like it. So to see Jordan Romano come in the 8th inning with a 2-run lead, and then Dolis in the 9th, who's just come off the IL, who to me is not your classic closer. Your classic closer is the guy that blows them away, has the 99-mile-an-hour fastball, not the dude that takes 3.5 minutes on each pitch, right? And again, is coming off the IL and is not your classic closer, tends to throw the ball in the dirt, right? Gets away from the catcher, that kind of a thing. And so that's what they did. They put Dolis in there with a 2-run lead, and he choked and gagged, and the Jays lost the game. And Charlie Montoyo, if I'm asking the questions afterwards, Charlie, why didn't you leave yourself more options in that game so that Romano could have pitched the 9th? Why wouldn't you? If you wouldn't have used Trent Thornton for 2 innings the night before, maybe he pitches an inning. And again, it goes back to you don't have the starting staff. Your 2 best starters are Ryu and Robbie Ray. And after that, flip a frickin' coin. You got Anthony Kay going tonight. All right? Against Tampa, for Christ's sakes. Against Tampa, Tyler Glasnow. What kind of a pitching matchup is that? You're only going to, and so are you going to tell me, and what if Anthony Kay can't get out of the 4th inning? You're going to empty your bullpen again in the first game of a series against Tampa? The Jays are in 4th place. They're in 4th place. Okay, they lost 2 out of 3 to Boston. They're in 4th place. Yankees are ahead of them. Tampa's ahead of them.
It's tight.
Got to get going. Got to have a starting staff. Got to go into June with a starting staff with at least 3 solid starters, major league starters. Who's available out there? Who wants to make a trade? We've got players. We got outfielders. We got kids in the farm system. Lots and lots of them. Okay. Nate Pearson might not show up this year. Alek Manoah. Hey, a couple more starts. What's the starting rotation going to look like in June when the Jays are battling tooth and nail every single day in the American League East? Boston, Yankees, Tampa, Baltimore, come on. You've got to have good starting pitching. You cannot afford to throw Ross Stripling out there every 5 days. And I'm sorry, you can't afford to throw Steven Matz out there as good, Mr. April. You've got to have a major league pitcher. Tanner Roark was not the answer. Anthony Kay is not the answer. Alek Manoah may be the answer. In due time, maybe Nate Pearson's the answer. It's got to be better than what we got. All right, rant over.
Got to start looking for starting pitchers. And I just
got to have starting pitching, man. Got to.
Just quick high.
Bartolo Colon. Why do you think Bartolo Colon pitched to the age of 100?
Right. Yeah, right.
He can start. He can throw innings. He can eat some innings.
Right. Paul Smith, by the way, loves your show. He's watching live from Glasgow, Scotland.
What?
Yep. So hello.
Ask him if he's a Rangers fan.
All right.
Because if he's a Rangers fan, he's okay with me.
All right, I'll find out that. But you talk
If
about
he's a
these.
Celtic fan, I don't know.
I'll find out. Actually, he's listening. So Paul, just reply back and let us know.
Let us know. Okay. He's going to tell us he's a Hearts fan.
I'll report back.
Hibernian.
So, Hebsy, I haven't yet tuned into a game on the radio because it's going to happen though this weekend.
Don't do it.
Okay, don't do it. Tell me
so
the real
bad.
deal here.
Mike, here's the thing. I've got to know the count. I got to know the situation. I got to know. And if you're watching on television, you don't have to know because it's right plain in front of your face where the runners are, little box, the count, where the runners are, how fast the pitch was, everything. I need a radio voice to tell me that because I can't see it. Even if I've got the game on television and I'm in the other room, right? I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, whatever I'm doing, but I'm not in the room. I need to hear. So I don't expect the TV broadcast to hear that. That's why I want to have the radio on. I'm in the backyard, I'm doing laundry, whatever the case is. I got to have it. And the fact that Sportsnet's vice president of whatever the fuck, Rob Corte, was quoted last week, this big article, saying, oh, the broadcaster's sounding a lot better, the simulcast. Bullshit. They're worse.
But who would believe the Sportsnet VP on that topic? Like, talk about bias. Like, why would you even give him a forum? Like,
blow yourself, why don't you? And your company.
Like, of all the people to listen to, VP of Sportsnet is not the guy who's going to be honest with you.
The unmitigated audacity of this man to say, the research we've done. I don't know anyone. Tell me, folks, anyone listening right now, anyone, anywhere, tell me, do you know anyone? And if you do, please send them my way. That's been listening to the games and it is okay with the amount of information they're getting as a radio listener.
You know who it'll be? It'll be somebody who loves Dan Shulman so much that they listen to him read the
But Dan doesn't do the games from Dunedin. Dan's only doing half the games.
I know.
That's Dan's watching. Dan's doing NBA. He's doing NBA or something like that. He's doing other games. You know that, eh? Like when he's not doing the Jays for 10 days in a row, he's doing other stuff, man.
Yeah, he's got ESPN stuff going on. And look at his Twitter handle. He doesn't have Rogers Sportsnet in there. He's got ESPN in there. Right?
No, he's Dan Shulman ESPN. But again, man, come on. Don't lie to us. Don't say, everything's fine in the radio. Look, you got a new guy doing radio. You got a guy named Dan Toman, who's the new boss of audio. He's the director of audio now at the Fan 590.
Right. And he's a digital guy.
The director of audio, man, has got to get in there and go, look, if I'm going to be the director of audio, you got to give me an audio only.
Hey, can I ask you about this Dan gentleman? Because I just learned about this. So he's the new program director at the Fan 590, right?
Yeah, director of audio programming.
And I think he's got a Yahoo background. Like he's a digital guy.
I don't know the man, but he seems well qualified for the job.
Do you have any
Greg Sansoni's going to be the one to make the ultimate decisions.
So Greg Sansoni, I'm just curious since you brought up Dan Toman, I've been thinking about future Fan 590 lineup and any inkling of, I know it's the wrong time. It's because we've talked clearly there's going to be by September, by Labor Day, I suspect there's going to be wholesale changes on 590. That's my feeling on this.
Yes.
Do you have any, you want to tip by the way, somebody's loving your hat. I was going to say tip your hat here, but Daniel on the YouTube channel says he loves your hat. So just wondering if you want to make any predictions.
Love the man.
Do you have a new prediction on the new morning show by any chance?
No, I don't. I really don't have I don't know where they're going to go, what they want to do with it. And do they want to, rebrand the station? Are they going to go more for podcasts and hope that people might, instead of having to listen live, might listen at a different time? Radio is the ultimate live medium, isn't it?
Yeah, sure. But what is radio now? There's the terrestrial radio signal, but radio is also streaming. It's a lot, live audio streaming because it's all digital. Right. The future's digital.
Right. That's why it's called the director of audio.
Okay. I just was wondering, because I know you're buddies with Greg Brady. So do you have any idea, has Greg had a conversation with Dan Toman?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. I ask the tough questions around here. Okay.
But you can keep asking because
I got some.
I just got the gig. And
yes.
In fact, I don't think that he's, maybe not officially in place to make any decisions.
Right.
Or they're not going to make any decisions until August.
Okay, because I've been, I've been seeing breadcrumbs here and there. You know what I do? I map it all out on my whiteboard, and I kind of can see where things might be going. I wondered if you had inside knowledge, being a friend of Greg Brady's.
No, and Greg doesn't either, because nothing has been done since the announcement, and no knowledge of any secret meetings or
hurry
anything
up
like
and
that.
wait. Right.
And the other thing too is, I mean, if I'm Dan Toman, the last thing I want to do is give any hint at all of what the plans are,
because it's only May, and I don't anticipate anything radical until launching a new thing on Labor Day or whatever. So
things got to work their way out.
Right.
Mind you, last night
mm-hmm.
you had, after the Leaf game, and I didn't even tune in. I should have. You had the Fan. You had TSN 1050, which I believe broadcast the game on radio, and Greg Brady also did a show on 640.
Right.
Like sort of an open line phone-in show. Like, okay, Leaf fans, the playoff game's over. And I love that time of year. I loved it when, the game would just be over and you'd be in the car on your way home or whatever you want. And you wanted to listen to Jays talk or Leafs talk or whatever the shows were called, to hear the fans. Vito from Woodbridge, you're on the air. Leafs suck. Put Freddie Anderson in there and put so-and-so in there. You wanted stuff like that, the knee-jerk reaction of fans at the end of the game, whether they had won or lost, but especially when they lost. Fire this guy, trade this guy, stuff like the knee-jerk stuff.
Oh, but you mentioned Freddie Anderson. I was just grateful that, Jack Campbell, I wouldn't fault him on the goals necessarily. So he gets the go in game 2 again, Campbell.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I know. Because if he blew it, that would probably be the move, right? Bringing in.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd give him such a quick hook. You got to give the guy.
Sure, it's only a game. Best of 7, though. You don't.
It was only his first playoff game, and it was Carey Price was like 38th or whatever.
Right. Okay.
And it may well come down to goaltending in the end. A bunch of 1-goal games. I'll be okay with that. Not sure my nervous system can handle it, but I'll be all right. I want to go back to the Jays radio for a second before we move on, and that is, I hear Buck the other night, and I hear, there's a looper right field. I'm in the other room, but I'm listening on radio. But if I want to, I can go watch it on television. I'm kind of doing an experiment here because I am a radio listener for baseball. And so I hear a little looper. I'm thinking, man, we got 2 on. We're going to score here. Beautiful. And and it's caught by the right fielder. So I go back now when I get a chance and I watch on TV because I can rewind, and I see that it was a fly ball to the right fielder. It was a can of corn.
Right.
Mike.
Right.
It was never a little looper.
Right. Right.
But for the radio audience to hear a little looper,
because to catch a looper, you expect an athletic dive kind of catch or with like a great.
But you can picture it, Mike. You can see the second baseman running back and outstretched arm, and the guy from right field coming in, and it's going to fall in. But no, it was a fly ball.
This was but that might be
radio.
Buck might be just he sometimes, I noticed, sort of reacts to the play wrongly occasionally.
It's not his fault. He's doing a TV broadcast. Right. If he missed, but I'm not saying that if it was Ben Wagner on radio that he wouldn't have said it, but probably not. Ben Wagner would have likely gone, there's the ball, it's over the head of the second baseman, it could fall in. No, coming in, and so makes the catch. Looper, right field.
Right, because in your head, you've got 2-run scoring. It's a big
2-run score, Jays lead. Please, Dan Toman, please make the change. Get a regular audio-only broadcast of Blue Jay games, please.
They promised us this was COVID only, please. So they got to. I'm telling you, we're going to hold them.
Even if Dan's got to do it, I don't care. Maybe Dan is the new audio director. Says, "Oh, fuck it, I'm going up there and I'm going to call the games. We can't afford anyone else. I'm going to do it."
Wagner's at the effing ballpark.
Wagner's there. I know Wagner, the play-by-play guy, is there.
Yes, it's insane.
Let's go down to Ben Wagner. Thank you very much, Buck. Here I am. Instead, he's out in right field. The other thing too is he's doing his reports. He's looking at a camera that's like 500 feet away. See, what happens is the cameraman is behind home plate and is waving to Ben Wagner, who's like 400 feet away. And so Ben has to look in the direction of that camera. Don't worry, just look where that camera is, and we'll make it look like,
Hey, really quickly, because we're talking about this, Dr. Hockey wondered, do you have any idea who's going to be the new co-host of Tim and Friends? Or is Tim and Friends even going to last to Labor Day? Is this just like some filler material until they do something proper?
And,
bring back Bobcat.
It's very difficult to be a television and radio sports critic. Listen, I've been watching The Shift with Kayla Gray, The Show with Sean McKenzie. There's, Tim and Friends, Sports Center with Jay Onrait, not Dan O'Toole. I mean, you don't have any idea how much work I'm doing.
I know you're
got
watching
Kennedy,
a lot of stuff.
I got frickin' Kayla and Jermaine.
How's the Kayla show?
I'm watching a lot of sports.
How is the Kayla show?
It's not for old white men.
Who's it for?
Young people of color. Women.
And is it still difficult to find the show? Like it's buried on some tsn.ca website, or is it easier to find than you thought?
Mike, I'll be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
With all that's been going on this week, not once did I say, I got to check out the next episode of The Shift.
Okay. I appreciate the honesty.
And I watched 2 Sean McKenzie episodes, and I like Sean McKenzie. Very deadpan humor, similar to his dad in that. So it's going to take a while to establish it. But I like the concept. Like, I like him as a host. He's quirky. And I like that. And there's sort of this embedded reporter thing too, because he's athletic as well as being a reporter. I kind of like that, but it's going to take some time for it to establish itself. But I like the digital only platform of YouTube. And man, you check it out when you check it out. You don't have to see it live. It's like, oh, I think it aired Sunday. I watched it on Tuesday. Oh, it's good. Anyway, in golf, Corey Connors, who led with a 500 par 67 after the opening round of the PGA Championship at Kiowa Island, South Carolina, one of the toughest, longest, most brutish courses in the world, had a nice dinner, clubhouse leader, first round leader, watched the Maple Leafs play the Habs, got sick like the rest of us, came out to the golf course today and absolutely shit on himself. Absolutely. Bogey, birdie, bogey, 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 birdie. I don't know where he is right now. Hopefully he's fighting back. But oh my God, he must have just, as a Leaf fan, as a guy whose yardage book has a Toronto Maple Leafs logo on it, who was asked about, the Leafs, must have watched that game last night and said, "Oh my God, I'm the leader of the PGA Championship." But like, he looked like he was completely drained, like his swing failed him miserably. Like the Leafs maybe the Tavares injury had a profound effect on his play. Maybe.
Yeah, it's a big fan. Hey, Dawn is wondering, what time are you teeing off at Crosswinds?
Oh, I'm teeing off on Tuesday. We're going Tuesday morning. I can't get on until Tuesday.
Wow. But it's back, baby.
They're the big sponsor on the show, right? Crosswindsgolf.com. And I'm like, all right, I'm going.
Right. You're like an ambassador. You should have your own, you can just,
I should
walk on.
But that wouldn't be fair. Hey, Hebsy, what'd you do? Right. Front of the line? And I can't do that. So like everyone else, I waited until I could get through. And, even Crosswind sent out a thing saying, we're overwhelmed by the response, because the minute it became official,
right,
golf courses went into action. They immediately changed their website over to now being able to accept reservations.
Right. And
Crosswinds, like most clubs, has a third party that does that. Right?
Sure.
That looks after the golf reservations. I think it's called Tion or something, whatever it is. But so they're overwhelmed now because their main system, which handles tons of golf courses, every golf course in Ontario is like, okay, we're open. So people are making multiple reservations. They're trying to get on anywhere for any time. And here I am looking for golf, and I'm like, I felt like calling them. Well, I did call to say I can't get our tee time.
So, but Tuesday, because Dawn thought you'd be teeing off 7 o'clock tomorrow.
Saturday morning, golf open for the first time in how long?
Long time.
Huge. Saturday all day.
And beautiful
Sunday,
forecast.
Sunday all day. Monday, holiday Monday, Victoria Day, all day. By Tuesday morning, hopefully it cooled off a little bit. I got a tee time. Crosswinds. It's going to be great. Fantastic. Awesome. Absolutely great. And look, for the way Corey Connors have been playing, I mean, maybe he'll be available to play Crosswinds, maybe a little break in the schedule. It needs a little break, especially after playing this Kiowa Island. My God, what a beast of a golf course. Good luck to Corey. I hope he bounces back. But boy, he started off. It's like someone said, "Geez, Corey, did you see a ghost?" And he went, "No, I saw the Leafs lose to Montreal, and I saw John Tavares almost get decapitated. Oh God."
Right.
So he just, hopefully he can bounce back from that. And Crosswinds, go get them. $1 million views, tremendous facilities, friendly staff, great people. Crosswindsgolf.com. Book your tee time now online. NBA playoffs underway. No Toronto Raptors, of course. The Grizzlies led by Jonas Valanciunas, play the Warriors tonight for the 8th seed in the West. Okay, the Warriors lost to the Lakers in that play-in, and now they play the Grizzlies, who won their game. And whoever wins tonight's one-off gets the 8th seed in the West. After that, tomorrow it's the Heat versus the Bucks, the Mavs versus the Clippers, the Celtics at the Nets, the Trail Blazers at the Nuggets, and then Sunday it's the Wizards at the 76ers, the Lakers at the Suns, the Hawks at the New York Knicks. And the winner of that Warriors-Grizzlies game tonight gets the Utah Jazz in the Salt Lake State. Strange not having the Raptors in the postseason, though, eh, Mike? Like, really, like we won the championship with that team, 2019. I don't recognize them now. I don't know what's going to happen with Kyle Lowry. I'm concerned about Masai Ujiri.
Hell of a run, though. Like, what a hell of a run. I want to ask you about a tweet that I was reading. Okay, so Doug Smith, of course, covers the Raptors for the Toronto Star. And I guess
he doesn't. No.
No,
he doesn't cover the Raptors.
Okay, what does Doug Smith do for the Toronto Star?
He issues press releases on the Raptors.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so you think he's like a PR arm of the?
Doug, we've discussed this. Doug is not. He's not the reporter. He's the in-house reporter for the Raptors. He's the Raptors reporter as the Raptors in-house guy, the Raptors propaganda guy, right? He's pals with all the players. He's pals with the coach. He wrote a biography with the coach. He wrote, a musical with Kyle Lowry. He's completely embedded.
He's too close.
He's an extension of the PR department.
He's too close to this team to be objective.
Way too close.
About them.
Way too close.
Okay,
what did he tweet?
Hebsy man. So a tweet at him from a guy named Michael Singer. So this is to Doug. In your article in the Toronto Star this morning, you say that the Lowry Ujiri era has been the best in Toronto sports in the past half century. Really?
What?
He goes, really? You think better than the Blue Jays 92-93? Come on. So I wanted to ask you, because when I think objectively, when I look back, I got to say, what a 7-year stretch. One NBA championship, dream come true. I loved it. You know that. We were all over this. This is amazing. But when I compare it to the Blue Jay run, I would say 83 through 93. Like that stretch of Blue Jays, I would say the Blue Jays stretch from 83 to 93 is the more impressive run for a Toronto team in the past half century. What say you, Mark Hebscher?
Without question, what has Doug Smith been smoking? He thinks that the one championship in the 7-year run of the Raptors is the greatest in Toronto sports in the last 50 years. Is that right?
That's what he's saying.
So does he not take the Blue Jays into consideration? Like, how could he not? What are you looking at? You're looking at 7 divisional championships, 2 World Series. Yeah, back-to-back World Championships. First of all, back-to-back World Championships trumps one championship no matter what. But also that run, that decade run of being one of the best teams in baseball has got to supersede a one Raptors championship with a team that, was basically cobbled together, for a 1-year run.
Yeah, I mean, we were on the same page here, but I think I count five pennants, AL East pennants in that 83, because 85, 89, 91, 92, 93.
Right. Almost 7. That's right.
So 5.
7, right?
Oh yeah, 87. We won't talk about that. So 5, but more importantly, I think back-to-back championships. Yeah. So I mean,
no question. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
This is just like one of his basketball
this is
bias,
why I say
right? Like
he's blind to anything but the Toronto Raptors. Does that not convince you of that? Like, step outside your Raptor bubble and take a. Oh, that's right, baseball team. Yeah, 4 million fans, 2 years in a row. All of Major League Baseball was gaga over the Blue Jays. Did you forget that?
Right.
And even when Winfield left after that first year, we got Molitor. We spent the dough. We won championships. We had not a dynasty, but a hell of a terrific, a better run than the Atlanta Braves had.
Yes, well, yeah, twice as many championships. But KM makes a great point. And when the Jays are winning those, the 5 pennants, the 2 championships, that's in the day when only 4 teams in the entire league made the playoffs. 4 teams in the entire league. Think about that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So yeah, Doug Smith doesn't know what he's talking about.
He's out to lunch on that one.
Unless it's the Raptors, of course. He knows everything. In tennis, Pablo Cuevas of Uruguay. You'll go Uruguay? I'll go Uruguay. He's the man standing in the way of Denis Shapovalov's bid to reach the final of the Geneva Open. Geneva, not one of the big tournaments, but still, You got a chance to win. You got a chance to win. They're on court right now in the semifinal. I don't know the score. If someone wants to update, it'd be great. If not, no big deal. Now, Mike, you had the scoop on your podcast last week, the Toronto Mic'd podcast. I believe it was episode number 7,242, but I can't remember.
It's the Pandemic Friday where we did the girl jam. So the special guest was the one and only Hebsy man. So you were the special guest, and we were kicking out girl jams. So songs with woman's name in the title, and I kicked out Cordelia from Road Apples, and I dropped the fun fact that the original name for Road Apples was Saskadelphia, because it's a fun fact. And you happened to be there on Zoom, and you knew something, and you gave us a few clues without telling us exactly what was going on. But we all found out yesterday what the heck you were talking about.
Yeah, the album's called Saskadelphia, and it's what it is. It's the lost tapes from the sessions they recorded in New Orleans for Road Apples, which was, like Mike said, originally supposed to be a double album. And it was supposed to be called Saskadelphia because the band wanted to, like, they were playing a lot in the States too, but they were playing out west, and there were, these trips where it was like, well, where are we going tomorrow? Well, we're in Philadelphia, and then we're going to Saskatoon, like that kind of a thing. So Saskadelphia was but the record company was like, well, that sounds too Canadian and whatever. And they said, okay, let's call it Road Apples, and they went, okay, without knowing really what Road Apples was.
Right.
That's the funny part too.
Right.
So anyway, yeah, the album's called Saskadelphia. And by the way, diehard Maple Leafs fan Rob Baker, lead guitarist, and diehard Habs fan Paul Langlois, rhythm guitarist, will be Ron McLean's guest on Hockey Night in Canada tomorrow to talk Habs Leafs rivalry, but also, I would think, Saskadelphia too.
Hey, you might be able to answer this question. So the Tragically Hip, obviously we've lost the great Gord Downey, so sadly it'll never be the full lineup, the original lineup. But I believe Feist is going to take Gord's spot, and I believe the Tragically Hip are going to play at the Juno Awards with Feist. Do you have any idea what song they're going to perform? You got a tip? Okay. Because we were debating, like, will it be Courage? What's it going to be? But if you find out, let me know.
Well, suffice to say that Feist, that sounds weird, has performed Tragically Hip songs before, and several of them.
Right.
So she is and she also opened for them. If she's well versed in the catalog of the Tragically Hip.
But that is exciting to.
You never know. You never know. I remember when I first heard Eric Clapton's version of Layla, the acoustic version.
All right.
What the heck is this? And then, of course, that ended up becoming an even greater seller than the original.
Right.
By Derek and the Dominoes. Finally, Eric Alper always comes up with interesting little tidbits and questions. Eric Alper is prodigious when it comes to posting on Twitter.
Well, he schedules those tweets, right?
What's the best concert you were ever at, to pop culture stuff.
He's loaded those into a programmable system that like will drop. Like, he could be asleep and it's going to tweet out. Like, he's programmed those. He scheduled those. Yeah.
So there, and I follow Eric, and I kind of sometimes I'll go, oh, that's silly. I'm not going to bother with that one. It was the first concert you ever saw. And then there's other ones where it just kind of go, oh, I have to chime in. But I like reading the responses. I like reading where other people's first concerts and stuff like that. So so the other day he's got, what did you do once and said to yourself, I'll never do this again as long as I live? And I'm looking at some of the responses: drink tequila and, drive too fast, or, and I'm like, man, the one thing I did that, like, as soon as I was doing it, while I was doing it, I said, oh, fuck, I'll never do this again. This was a huge mistake. Oh, please, God, praying, do not let me die. If I live, I promise I will never do this again. And that was heroin.
Wow. We discussed this, by the way, last night on Pandemic Friday, because it was quite the bomb you dropped on Twitter there, heroin. But I had thought you inject it into your arm with a needle, and I thought that's heavy duty, but you didn't do that, right? How did you take this heroin?
Snorted it.
Okay.
Because I hate needles, and there was no way. I'd seen it. Like, I knew guys. Trust me if I tell you this. I knew bad guys. I knew guys that were junkies, and I saw them stick the needle in, not just in their arms, in their toes,
right? Because they need a vein,
in their leg, in their bum. Once this guy wanted me to inject him. I said, "There's no way." Ooh. But, you know, you're young and stupid and you get curious and, you know, I'm not going to, it was called mainlining. You find the vein, you put it in, right? Directly into the vein.
Right.
And then immediately, like, you know, you got to take that needle out of there and you're going to pass out or close to it. So I was like, no way of that. Oh, you can snort it. So like an idiot, you know, wanting to be cool and everything else, I snorted it. But what I didn't realize, what I was not prepared for, was something they call the drip, Mike. When you go like this, eventually you have to swallow it, right?
Okay.
It's going to go through your throat. And when that drip hits, oh my God, it was horrible. And I immediately ran to the toilet and threw up violently. Wow. And then the rest was fantastic.
But
like
you said
the colors were like, imagine you had never seen anything but black and white television. And then you saw 4K
Hebsy.
Of the Masters or a baseball game. But you've never seen anything in your life.
But you're making me think I should try heroin. Like, this is a dangerous, like you're making it like an advertisement for heroin.
And that's why it's so addictive and so wonderful. Because people will tell you, like, what is it about it? Oh my God, life just is wonderful.
Yeah.
And then it's shitty again, and then it's a roller coaster, and then it's like, and then either you're like, I gotta have that again. I have to have that sensation again, or in my case, I'll never. Like, it's not worth it. Like, tell me, you know, like if someone said to you, okay, you've got a choice. You can jump out of an airplane, something you've never done before. You're afraid of heights, or you can snort heroin. I'm going to tell you right now, jump out of the airplane.
Right.
Trust me.
Right. Less addictive.
Jump out of it. Because even if you love it and you want to do it again, as long as you take all the safety precautions, man, go ahead. But man, if it's like, you know, go drive 200 miles an hour or snort heroin, or man, don't do it. Because that's the sensation it was, oh my God, this is fantastic. For a while, I don't know how long. This is wonderful. Life is great. And then when it's not, it's awful.
And when you're puking, you're thinking, I'm never doing heroin again. Is that right?
Exactly. Like, please, Lord, please stop it. And then you see afterwards, the worst is, Mike, depending on how much you've eaten, the dry heaves. It is a horrible thing. Anyway, that's it for the description of it. So I opened up a can of worms. It happened a long time ago. I was a bad person. I hung out with bad people. I didn't get addicted. I never did it again. Oh my God. I could see what the attraction was, and I can see how the likes of the greats, whoever, Lenny Bruce, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin.
Well, that's why they mainlined it.
The needle and the damage done. Yeah, I highly recommend. Do not try it.
Woo. Good advice.
And on that note, that's it for episode number 233 of Hebsy on Sports. I'm getting choked up here, Mike, just thinking about that. Ugh. The drip. Woo. Episode 233 of Hebsy on Sports. Feeling good. It's the weekend, long weekend. Thanks to Toronto Mike for production and inspiration. Check out his excellent podcast at Toronto Mike. Thanks as well to our fabulous sponsors, crosswindsgolf.com. They're open for golf. They're going to meet you at the gate and give you a big virtual hug. It's fabulous. Golf is back. Check them out, crosswindsgolf.com. And also our new sponsor, manscaped.com. Folks, get 20% off and free shipping when you use the promo code Hebsy, okay? At manscaped.com. Thanks for allowing us into your headspace. Back with another episode next week. Until then, so long for now. This podcast has been produced by TMDS and accelerated by Roam Phone. Roam Phone brings you the most reliable virtual phone service to run your business and protect your home number from unwanted calls. Visit roamphone.ca to get started.
I like Gene's comment on the YouTube. He says, you got Jay Gold's number. Text him and find out what song the Hip are playing at the Junos.
Can I find out, do you think?
He's not. He probably won't tell you because he probably
I
knows.
don't think he knows.
You'll tell me.
Don't believe that they would say, "Hey, Jake, this is the song we're going to do."
Okay.
Junos.
I wondered if maybe
and it's
Jake
not till
had
June 8th anyway, so they might be rehearsing. I don't know.
I feel like Jake is
song.
he orchestrates. You know, the fact that we have Saskadelphia before the long weekend, like things are very, you know, that's what he's a manager, so he manages things and orchestrates things. He probably knows what song they're going to play. But I don't know. You would know better than me. What do I know?
And even so, he's not going to tell me.
All right, I'm going to say goodbye.
The thing is, do you really want to know in advance?
I guess you're
right. If I
right.
said to you, we're going to go to a concert, and
right.
I'm going to tell you what the first song is. Are you going to go, no, don't. I want to be surprised. I kind of want to feel it myself.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah. And by the way, Mike, Marcus Simeon, I know this for a fact, is going to hit a leadoff homer. No, don't tell me.
No,
so
you're
better
right.
not to know.
And it's more fun to guess with your friends and stuff, like try to guess.
I think so. Yeah, have a little bet going. What's it going to, you know, Bob Cajun, Courage, Poets.
Right. A medley.
A medley.
As KM just put that in the YouTube channel.
Medley.
All right, so goodbye to everyone. Have a good long weekend. Get out there to Crosswinds and make sure you buy the Manscaped product, the Lawnmower 4.0. And remember, it
doesn't have to be that. Anything. Just go to manscaped.com and buy.
Okay, well, this is what we're using. So Hebsy swears by it, but use Hebsy. So save 20% when you use Hebsy, and it helps the show. So this is a way to basically support the show and keep it going. So if you like what you hear, buy 5 of these with go use your promo code Hebsy, man. No, Hebsy, just Hebsy, right? The promo code.
Hebsy,
okay.
Hebsy.
Just Hebsy. Okay, I'm turning off